We back. We back with another live, yo. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right, y'all. Welcome back to another live. If you guys are watching the pre-recording, tap in. Make sure you guys lock in. If you guys are live in here right now, go ahead and say what's up in the chat real quick. Let me go ahead and adjust the charts for everybody. All right, cool. All right, perfect. Welcome in. Let me go ahead and pull this up really quick. Give me 1 second, guys, so I can have the chat up. Let's move this over here to this monitor. Bam. Sync code. So in today's live, we're just going to be taking a look at the charts, kind of getting a better understanding of where the market is, answering some questions as well. Shout out to all the members in TSA that's pulling up right now as well. I see y'all eating in the chat as well. IWM, definitely consistent day, and just a consistent ticker to trade. We'll talk about some tickers that you guys can start off with, especially if you're a beginner. There's just definitely things that you kind of want to be careful of when you're trading. A lot of people want to jump in and immediately start trading Tesla and trading all that stuff. You got to kind of be a little bit more careful. What up, Brody? What's good? Official Megaleo. Hopefully I said that right. I definitely didn't say it right, but yeah. What's up, y'all? If you guys can hear me good in the Twitch too. TikTok chat, go ahead and comment yes down below if you guys can hear me good, if everything is sounding good. Oh, it's John. What's good, John? What up, bro? All right, cool. Let's pull up the charts. And then we'll make sure the chat is good here. All right, good. TikTok, let me know if you guys can hear me good. YouTube, let me know if you guys can hear me good as well. Do a quick check-in. 1 second. Currently in Tesla calls is crazy. Eddie was good, bro. And then we'll make sure the chat. Yo, what's up, YouTube? What's up? Orlando was good. Lala, what's up? Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. All right, cool. Let's jump into things now. All right. What's good? All right, so for right now, Zena, good morning, or good afternoon. So right now what we're looking at is IWM. Currently we are on the 30-minute time frame. Now today I decided to stay cash, right, and not trade anything today. Personally, I feel like after a volatile week like we had last week, where look at this, oh my goodness, recovered majority of this gap. It still has some room. I mean, it's at 80% of its ATR. I mean, it can move another dollar and recover this gap. One thing to be careful of is, especially on the weekly time frame, right? You're still inside on the week, especially here on IWM. So one of the things is like, don't take a trade just to take a trade. But today, one of the things that we always talk about in TSA is those 3 bars, right? Which is those volatility candles. So for us, how we basically found this trade setup, this was off of I think this was off of the 2-hour, or was this a 6-hour entry? Yes, this was the break of the 6-hour time frame. So here on IWM, right, we basically set this horizontal lines here for our calls and our puts entry. And one of the things that IWM likes to do is fake outs in the morning, especially after a weekend. What's good, Discord? What's good? Oh, shout out to all my members from TSA. I see y'all in here. One of the things that IWM likes to do very consistently is fake outs, right? And especially on Mondays, majority of the market likes to do fake outs, especially if you look at something like QQQ. And things like that. I missed the entry. All good. It's always another opportunity. So one of the things that you can look at with IWM right here, right, is if you understand what a 3 bar is, right? A 3 bar is basically a candlestick that crosses above and below the previous candle, which is showing volatility, right? A better way to read a 3 bar, right? If we come over here and let me make sure this is good on my end. Okay. So a better way to read a 3 bar is first off looking at where the candle opens at, right? So a lot of times people don't look and understand price action as much as I feel like they could. Tez, what's good? What's good? A lot of people I feel like aren't focused on real price action when it comes to the market, right? Or just reading charts. So if you look at this candlestick right here, right? One of the things you can notice is on a green candlestick, on a bullish candlestick, it opens at the bottom, right? So the way you would read this candle is the market open, right? And it opened and it pushed down and it crossed below this previous candle right here, right? And what you can see as well is once it crossed below, it started finding some more support here. okay? And once it started finding support, it bounced and came back through and came and made a high here. So remember what I said, the reason we trade the strat is because it's an ideal way for us to understand price action. But most importantly, when you compare it or add in smart money concepts, SMC, right, you start understanding what institutions are doing. And I talk about this a lot where, I think new traders, or a lot of traders in general, they don't think about what institutions are doing. So you got to think, if institutional investing, or what I mean by this is if big money, if people on Wall Street, banks and things like that are the people who are moving majority of the market, then you need to be thinking about what they think about, right? You need to think about certain levels that they're thinking about. And we'll go over different examples, especially from last week, where you can just consistently see it over and over and over again. But you're not going to be able to consistently see it if you're not watching the charts, if you're not studying, right? And this is one of those things that, it just takes time. You got to put in the work, obviously, to see the results that you're looking for. So the way you read this candle is the market opens, it flushes at open. So there's probably some take profits here, right, from people who may have swung options or swung shares over the weekend. It came back up, right, and it faked out the bulls as well, and it came back and closed here. Now, once we had a break of our pre-market highs right here, this was also a break of structure, right? So once we have this break of structure along with this 3-bar, this was your entry. So the way you would look at it, right, because we've seen this setup from a higher time frame, we were sticking with our entry here. But you could have also looked at this as, hey, I'm gonna look for a 3-2 combination. Proud of you, bro. Yo, appreciate you, MJ. The way you would look at this is I'll either take the 3-bar, which consistently likes to go 3-2, right? So if you don't know the strat, if you guys click the link in my bio, there's a free strat guide in there. Inside the free Discord, there's like a free video and like a breakdown PDF of what the strat is. So you can just click the link in my bio to grab it. But one of the things that I'll tell you, right, is when you're looking at 3-bars, they love to go 3-2. They love to continue. So if price faked out to the downside, right, you fake out the bears and it goes back in the opposite direction, who has control? Who can tell me in the chat? If you fake out the bears and you go back in the opposite direction, who has control? Let me know in the chat. Exactly, LJ. Bulls, right? Buyers are in control. So if you're noticing this and you're recognizing this, right, you still have your entry off of a higher time frame, you can still stick with it, right? So basically the way you would look at it is this time frame and this entry that we called out in the Discord earlier this morning was off of the 6-hour, right? So if you come over to the 6-hour time frame, here's what it looks like, right? And your targets, you got previous day highs, previous quarter highs as targets, right? And or the gap fill, which is up here at 220, but you still got a little bit of ways away, right? So this is how the setup looks. Now, a lot of the times I feel like, people only trade lower time frames. I have no problem with lower time frames. One of the most important things that you need to recognize though is what is the bigger picture doing, right? And this is what I constantly teach inside of TSA. So on that 6-hour, right, you take the break of 217.07 as your calls entry. And look what happens. Once it breaks 217.07, right, it pushes up with a strong move, right, to 217.71. So a lot of times if you're trading IWM, shout out to my members in TSA, we know that a strong move like this, you can get paid 60-70% in this one candle right here. However, you leave your runners, right? You let the trade continue running. So one of the things that you'll notice is that once it started to go 3-2, you consolidate it. Right, so a 1-bar is consolidation, right? It's basically choppiness, if you want to say, okay? Now, this is at 10:30. At 11 a.m., you had another strong push up, and this strong push revisited previous day highs and previous quarter highs. So remember, what was once resistance becomes support. What was once support becomes resistance, right? So in this case scenario, right, we retried breaking above previous quarter highs, which is again a strong level to look at, right? And then once it failed, this next candle opened and it broke above with momentum. So a lot of the times, it's not even that you're taking the wrong trades, it's that sometimes you don't have the proper risk management to sit in a trade. So let's say, you were looking for a setup. Let's say you missed, let's say you missed this 3-bar, or let's say you missed the 6-hour entry. What you could look at is this 2-1 setup. Right, this is a 2-1 setup. This is a setup that you guys can look at. If you just Google the strat, there's like these combinations you guys can have, and it's very detailed, very easy for you to understand. Okay, if you guys are learning something so far, make sure you guys hit the subscribe or hit the like button. All right, or not the like button, but follow button on TikTok. All right. So basically how it would work is, let's say you missed this entry, okay? And your next thought or process is like, damn, I missed the entry. Well, first off, there's always another opportunity, right? Second off, you're coming up against another key level, right? Which is the previous quarter high. This is IWM, Austin. This is IWM. So basically what you can look at, right, is you can say, okay, well, I missed the initial entry. Well, let me look at the 2-1 setup that I have right here, right? Let me look at the 2-1 setup, because I know I'm coming up across a key level. So it's either we're going to break with strength, right, or it's going to fail, right? Now, in this case scenario, you already know that bulls have the strength for the majority of the momentum is under the bulls, right? So the way you would look at this, right, is if bulls were already in control here, right, and now it's consolidating above your VWAP. So remember, if price is above the VWAP, right, you want to look for those calls on the time frame that you're on. If it's below the VWAP, you want to look for puts, okay, or you want to look for shorts. So what you're noticing is you have this 2-1 setup. You already know that the bulls have have control right now, and then you're coming up across a key level, right? So it's a little bit easier for you to take this trade when you're looking at it and saying, okay, this candle opens, right? It breaks above, so this pays you in the beginning, right? But a lot of times, if you have a 30% stop loss and it pulls back super heavy, right, you'll get stopped out of your trade, which is why we always talk about sizing for zero. Basically, we go into the trade with an amount of money that we're okay with losing, right? So, normally you might go into a position with $1,000 and have a 30% stop loss. Well, then you get stopped out and you missed out on the whole move. Well, for us in TSA, right, what we do is we go in with zero, right? So you're risking $300. We're doing the same thing, but we're only going in with 300. It neither goes 100% plus or it goes to zero, right? And that's just how we trade. So when you get this break here, it breaks above, right? Next candle opens after it fails, breaks above again, and it closes above this previous quarter high, which is now giving you a little bit more confidence that it could run. So once it closes, you started getting a little bit of slowdown, and then the bulls kept step back in again, and then you had a power move up. So, even in this scenario, I really don't like to trade Mondays, right? Especially after having days like Friday and Thursday that we had. But you can learn a lot from this, right? Like I tell people, just spend more time on the charts. If you don't understand the charts, it's because you're not spending enough time on it. You can understand all the lyrics behind rap music and all this stuff, but you don't want to take the time out to study the one thing that could potentially change your life, right? And a lot of times it's like, how disciplined can you be when it comes to getting good at this? It's like, how bad do you really want it? You know what I mean? Like people always talk about they want these nice cars and they want to be able to stop working a job and things like that. But are you willing to put in the time that it takes to be able to understand the charts enough to be able to do that? Right? So with that being said, always watch these key levels, right? Even on something like SPX, right? Here's the crazy part, right? So look at this. And this is something that I was watching. I'm going to delete this broad information real quick. So I want you guys to look at this, right? So we know that on Friday, we had a massive sell-off, right? In the market due to Trump kind of talking more about, reciprocal tariffs, right? But more importantly, the job reporting numbers, right? So what you've seen is the market gap down from Thursday. So the market opens down here, right? So it already gapped down, right? And a lot of times what you'll see is with gaps, this is something that a lot of people don't know, but gaps can either fill or they'll continue, right? This is a saying, right? At least what we say in TSA. Gaps will either fill or they will continue. What do I mean by that? Well, within the first 72 hours, gaps have about a 70% chance of coming up and filling majority of the gap. So what exactly is a gap though? A gap is an imbalance on the chart. What do I mean by that? There's not an equal level of buyers and sellers at certain prices, which causes imbalance, right? And a lot of times what the charts like to do, or what the market likes to do, is have a balanced chart, which is why gaps are created and they're filled. But it isn't always the case where it comes up and it just comes up and fills the gap immediately. Sometimes what will happen is, people call it gap and crap. Other people call it gap and go. What we just say is gaps will either fill or they'll continue. You just gotta create like these like rhymes. I feel like it'll make things easier for you to like understand what's actually going on, if that makes sense. So if you like if it's hard for you to study, people use flashcards. Well, in the charts, if it's hard for you to remember certain stuff, just create certain sayings where it's like, oh, this thing can gap and go, or it can gap and crap, or gaps get filled, gaps can continue, so on and so forth, right? So we seen on SPX, right? Initially, we marked out the gap fill because it's always potential that it could break out and, come back and fill the gap. However, in this scenario, right, this gap was created, the market opened, and then we immediately flushed. Now, one thing I want you to notice is that the level that it came to, so you had a 2 down, and then you had a failed 2 down. So how many of you guys don't know what a failed 2 down is? Comment me. If you do not know what a failed 2 down is, comment me. TSA, if y'all are in here, y'all should all know what a failed 2 down is. Right? So, me. Okay. So, what a failed 2 down is, right, is this candle, it opened here, and it flushed, right? And it came to a previous quarter high. So, this is a strong level of support, okay? What do I mean by this? On a higher time frame, this was support from in the past, right? So over the last 3 months, this is a key level of key support level, the last quarter's high, right? And the thing is you got to mark out these key levels, because a lot of times it's the same thing as, every other strategy that's out there. You're watching key levels, you're watching price around certain areas, right? If you look at where price came to, it literally came to previous quarter highs, right? And it bounced from this area. So the reason this is a failed 2 down is because it opened, it broke the previous candle's low, it came all the way down here, and it immediately bounced and retraced back through and closed up here, right? That is why it's a failed 2 down. It broke the previous candle's low, but it failed to close lower than the previous candle. Does that make sense? I love to trade them. Yes, I love failed 2s. So another way of looking at a failed 2 down, right, is bears were in control, right? It comes down to a key level of support. Now, everyone's looking at the same levels, right, for the most part, right? So think of it like this, right? And let me make sure I'm moving this over so y'all can see this right there. There we go. So y'all should be able to see it now. So for majority of traders, and regardless of the strategy, we're all looking at the same levels, right? It's just different strategies and how you're trading those levels. So a lot of people are going to look at previous quarter highs and say, hey, that's going to be a strong level of support. This is going to be a target. So not only do you have people who were shorting the market from this way all the way down as a target with previous quarter highs, you also have people saying, hey, this is a price or a level where price could bounce from. And what you'll see is that there was a ton of momentum coming to the downside. When you had this level of support retested, right, you had a lot of buyers stepping in, but you also had a lot of profit taking from people who caught this move here, right? Once it came down, you could have literally taken calls off this level. And the key thing is, again, marking these levels out. If you know that on the higher time frame, a previous month low or a monthly level or a quarterly level or a yearly level, if you know that these are strong levels of support and resistance, you're going to mark these levels out, right? And you're going to watch price around these levels. So one of the things that I was watching is I was going to take this bounce, but I was supposed to fly and all this stuff with my daughter, and it was the flight getting delayed and things like that. So I wasn't really focused on this trade, but it was something that I was anticipating. So you look at it and you say, okay, price revisited previous quarter high, and you know this is a price where people are going to look to take profits at. So you take calls here, and then when it flips through on this candle, right? This is a 40-point move right here. From this low to these highs up here, these contracts on this same day contracts, these paid 2,000+% easily. Now, another thing, look left, right? Super paid. Look left. When price came down here again, a second time, right? Always remember, price has memory. Price has memory. So a lot of times price will revisit same levels, which is why we're retesting previous quarter highs. This was a level that was a high from the last quarter. But what happened is price came back and, retested it, right? So price has memory. So when you look at this, right, and you look left, it bounced from here before. What will make you think it's not going to bounce again? right? Now, even though you had a strong move back down, this is still a strong level of support. So you could have done the same thing that you did here. You could have taken a bounce from here. You could have taken a bounce at the end of the day. And again, these contracts paid 2,000%. So there was two different times, two opportunities to turn $100 into $2,000. But again, you have to be able to mark these levels out. You have to be able to understand what these things mean, right? Not only did it give you a retest of this level, but it created a 3-bar. So this candle opens, it flushes, retests a strong level of support, and then comes flying back through. And then this next candle pushes up and creates a failed 2 up, right? So it came up, it broke higher, and it failed to stay and close higher. These were two different opportunities that you had to be able to make money on Friday, right? The thing is you got to be able to understand what the strat is, right? I used to trade, like I first started learning about support and resistance. Then I started learning about trend lines, and then I went into supply and demand. And, I went into all these different strategies, but I still was not confident on what price was doing. How many of y'all feel like that right now? Like if you look at a chart and it's like you kind of understand, but then again, like you really don't really understand. So you kind of just like, right? How many of you guys feel like that? Me. I'm seeing a lot of me's, right? The thing is the strat is so important because it teaches you how to read price action. Like what is price doing? That's the whole point of trading. Is like, what is the market doing? If you know that institutions on Wall Street, the banks, hedge funds, if you know they're moving the market, then you need to understand why they're moving the market, like where they're moving it, the levels, but also what the levels mean, right? What's up, Kel? What's good? So if you don't understand these things, this is why I feel like the strat is one of the easiest things. Like, I won't say it's easy, right? Because like a person coming onto this live, right, and they're looking at this and they're like, I've never seen this before. What is these colors? What are these numbers? Trading doesn't have to be that complicated. You're right, right? However, it'll give you a way more in-depth understanding of what price is actually doing. Does that make sense? Comment yes if that makes sense down below. And these things are the same thing. They work on anything you trade, whether it's futures, whether it's options, whether it's Bitcoin, right? It's the same exact setups on all of them, right? It's just understanding what they mean though. And the thing is I feel like a lot of you guys might create limiting beliefs on yourself, like, oh, that's too hard, or I don't understand it. So like the first thing that people do is when they don't understand something, they instantly repel it, right? They say, oh, if I don't understand it, it's not meant for me to understand. And it's just like, that's a bad way of going about things because you never know what could potentially help you, right? Like if the first thing you think is this looks complicated, it doesn't have to be that complicated. You didn't even give it an opportunity to learn it. So it's like, what you don't know is the reason why you're not where you want to be. How do you call this concept? I forgot. It's called the strat. You trade the indice markets? Not as much. Right? And there's multiple scenarios where, these combinations, right, they appear over and over and over again. So what do I mean by this, right? So on Thursday, this was a trade that I took, right? This was a trade that I took. So why did I take this trade? Well, gaps will either fill or they will continue. Right? 1 second, y'all. Let me refresh this real quick. I forgot how to refresh it over here. Oh, well. Right? So it's the same exact thing. Gaps will either fill or continue. So the market opens up here after gapping up into Thursday. What happens is the market opens, right? And it immediately starts to push up and then it starts to fail. Right? So one of the things you look at is the setups, right? This is a 2-1-2 setup. This is a reversal. So this is another reason I really like trading the strat, is because a lot of people don't know how to spot a reversal. And when you trade the strat, when you understand candlesticks, it makes it so much easier for you to identify when there is a reversal coming. So we are already at all-time highs right here on SPX at 64.27, right? As you start seeing the market open from this gap up, right, you either know that the gap is going to continue running or it's going to come back and try to fill the gap. And if you know this, again, this is a principle that works across anything that you trade. If something gaps up, right, gaps will either fill or they will continue, okay? This setup, how you would trade this, right? So, you know, just kind of spotting different trades and how to take them. If you see that you're at all-time highs already, right, you gapped up into all-time highs, right? So this was your recent all-time highs. We gapped over it, right? You're looking for a strong move either upward or downward. So you mark out this, and when you see this go 2, 1, 2, doesn't it look like a staircase, right? It's like a stairs going down. And like when you understand market structure, you can kind of just spot this because you have this high here, came down, created another high, came down, created another high, came down, created another high. It's literally like like stairs, right? And you'll get better at spotting these things, especially on lower time frames, when you understand higher time frames. Does this make sense? I don't know. Are y'all learning something? I don't know. TikTok, I need to see more in the chat. Yo, if TSA, how many people we got in this live right now on TikTok? I can't see none of the numbers, so I'm just kind of rocking out. Okay, cool. Appreciate you, Eddie. Lower highs and lower lows. Exactly. Exactly. So look at this, right? This level here, right? So this is a 2-1 setup, right? On SPX, you already know you're at highs. You already know that there's a gap fill, right? So what do? You mark out this 2-1 and you look for the reversal. Now, it might not just happen immediately. This is the part where patience comes in. So this was the trade that I took, right? I took a 2-1, and when I seen the reversal, I took my entries on puts, right? And it took a little minute for it to flush. Eventually, it ended up coming back down, right? Is TSA here on YouTube? I think they are. I took this entry right below here. So the way a 1 bar works is this consolidation. You're waiting to see who has control at the moment, right? So, you know, right now, this is consolidation. No one's in control right now, especially at all-time highs. So this is something you want to watch out for because it's setting up for a reversal. So you know this, and the way a 1 works is you take the break above or the break below, right? So the reason this is a 1, first off, if you don't understand this candlestick, right, the reason this is a 1 is because this candlestick right here, it hasn't broken the previous candle high or low. So this is the low. This candle is inside of this one, right? This low is inside of this low. This high, right? So notice this high is inside of this high, right? So it hasn't broken above it and it hasn't broken below it, which is why it's called an inside bar. No one has control right now, right? And what you're doing is when you see something like this, you're looking to see, right, who's going to take control, right? So you have a 2-1, and then this is your puts entry. And you could trade this off any time frame. So the strat setups work on any time frame, whether it's a 4-hour, a 6-hour, a daily, a weekly, a 5-minute, a 15-minute. They all work across all time frames, right? Your targets are just going to be different depending on, you know, the time frame that you trade. So when you see this, you take your puts entry or you short the market here, right? And you just ride it down and you have levels. So if your entry is here, where's your target? You would target this wick, 63.96, right? So this is about almost a 10-point move, about 8-point move, right? From your entry to here, this is an 8-point move. The next place that you would target is these highs here, because these are the next levels. And notice how price consistently hits your target. So your first target was here, it got hit, right? Comes down to this next target, hit. Then you start targeting these lows of these candles, hit. Look at this. Isn't that crazy? So you had a target here, target 1, target 2, and then you had an extreme target at target 3 that was all tapped. So this one candlestick, it retraced a little and then it continued to fall, right, before making the next leg higher. And then you had another sell-off, another example of this, right? So another thing to look at is, you know, if you're trading the strat, I would say like choose certain candlestick patterns that you like, right? So TSA, you know, we have our own combination of setups that we like to trade, right? So for me, I like trading failed 2s and 3s. So what does that mean? Anytime I see a 3, I like to take the continuation. anytime I see a fail to up or down, I like to take those setups as well. So this is an example of a failed to, right? So price comes down, found support, push back up, right? Starts to retest these levels. Notice how this is a key psychological level. 6,400 is a key psychological level, right, on SPX. So price came up, retested 6,400 again after breaking through it, came back up, retested it, and then it gave you a fail to up. Now what this is doing, what this is showing you, a fail to up, is it's a trap, right? So it trapped the bulls. So when you seen this reversal, right, there was a lot of people who took calls here, right? Or there was a lot of people who were, you know, taking buys or going long in the market right here. And what happens with a fail to up is what it's showing you is it's trapping people who took calls. So all these people who took calls right here, right, on this candle, and they're thinking, oh, we're fine, we're gonna break back out, and we're gonna, you know, think about it like this. In order for you to make money, in order for people to make money in the market, there has to be someone else who's losing money. Okay, that's how the market works. You make money by somebody else losing money. You lose money by somebody else making money off of you. Okay. Real quick, let me do this real quick. Yo, we are heavily under liked. Yo, let's get to 5K likes, y'all. Give me the 5K likes. 5K, 5K, 5K. Okay. So this is a fail to, right? So it trapped the bulls, and this is a reversal candlestick, right? So basically the way you look at this fail to up is it's a reversal. It's setting up for a move to the downside, right? So you will mark it out just like this. You mark the high, and then you mark the low, right? And you take this next candle and you wait for it to break either side. So when it breaks the downside, look at this move. Straight down, and it breaks through the recent level of support. Once it closes, right, below this support, look what happens. It comes back up on the next candle, retests it, and then falls off again. And it continued to come down and fill this gap. So, you know, price action is very consistent, right? Like a lot of times, you know, if you don't know how to read charts, or if you're just, you know, uncomfortable with understanding with any of this, what any of this like means, it just means you got to put more time in. You got to find somebody that you like to learn from. You know, that, yeah, that's a crazy move. And you got to think this is at 1 p.m. This is at 12:30. Crazy, insane move. So this is a from 63.95 to 63.40. That's almost that's about a 70 point move, 60 point move, 50 point move, 55 point move. Those same day contracts at 12:30, and you get a move like that at 1. That's insane. That's like life, literally. That's life changing money right there. That's life changing money. But you have to have proper risk management if you're going to trade something like this, right? You got to have proper risk management. Okay. What indicators are you using? So this one right here that shows the numbers on the candlesticks, right? This is called the Strat Assistant. So if we come up here, and I move this over right here just so TikTok can see it. If you type in Strat Assistant, it's by Ricky Z. Carroll. This is the indicator right here. Okay. And a lot of times, again, like, you don't have to only trade SPX. Like, even if you look at this, right, you just really got to be mindful of key levels. What are key levels? Previous day highs, previous day lows. Those are key levels. Previous week highs, previous week lows. Those are key levels. Previous month highs, previous month lows. Previous quarter high, previous quarter low, right? Previous year high, previous year low. These are all key levels. Should I add onto my AMD and NVIDIA portfolio that's been performing extremely well currently? It really depends, bro. You know, if you're averaging in, if it's a long-term account, you know, you can't be mad at buying it at the levels it's at now when you know it's going to be higher in 5 years. So if it's a long-term account, you know, go for it. But August is historically a down month, right? It's usually one of the worst months of the year, and this dates back to 1988, right? So like, don't take it from me, just go back test, right? So August tends to be the worst month, so a lot of times you can wait for a pullback in the market to start looking for new buying opportunities. Was this something you thought was going to happen, or something you saw when watching the chart. Which one? The previous day highs? This? I didn't trade anything today. I mean, even on this candlestick right here, once you get a break of a previous day high and it's going back into a gap, right? You tend to want to trade that, right? Like, especially for how we trade momentum, right? And we trade gap fills and things like that. This would have been an ideal setup, right? A break above previous day highs. So notice how there's a gap here. Price could literally run all the way to the gap. So look at what you're seeing, right? This is from previous day highs at 62.78 back to about 63.19. This is about a 40 point move. It's all about key levels. Even if you don't trade the strat, even if you don't trade with SMC, right? With order blocks and gaps and all that, at least, well, I would say include gaps, right? But even if you don't trade this strategy, whatever strategy you trade, just make sure you're marking out key levels. They are the most important thing to watch out for, hands down. If price reverses on you, it's because you don't know what level it's at, right? So a lot of the times it's like, it's not that trading is hard. It's just that certain things aren't explained to you. And this is why I do these lives. So make sure you guys hit the follow button if you guys are learning something right now. And for those of you guys who are in here, if you guys need like a tutorial, like a free guide on like trading the strat, like these candlesticks and gaps and stuff like that, there's a link in my bio where there's a free Discord. I send like 1 to 2 free signals a week. And there's like a ton of just free resources y'all can take advantage of. So if you just, need something to learn or need someone to help you learn, you know what I'm saying, you just click the link in my bio. It'll take you right over to it, right? How about buying and selling above and below EMAs? So I don't use EMAs anymore. With the way that I trade the strat, I don't really need EMAs. Prior to that though, I would be looking at the 8 and the 12, right? Or not the 8 and the 12, I'm sorry, the 8 and the 21, right? So obviously you can still use that. Like if price comes back to a 21 moving average, you look for the bounce or a rejection from there. It's another simple way to trade as well. You just got to find the strategy that you feel like works best for you. For me personally, with the way that I trade, I don't need EMAs on my chart. When I see those highs and lows, I create resistance lines. Is that something you still use? I don't mark them out, right? Like if you see prices making lower highs and lower lows and stuff, I don't mark them out. But that is smart to do as key levels or resistance and support. Me personally, I mark out gaps, order blocks, since I know that's where institutions like to sell from. And then key levels like previous day highs, previous quarter highs, like really those key levels on the higher time frame. Those are going to be the ones that are most important. Those are going to be the most important ones to watch out for, because they're coming from a higher time frame, right? So yeah, like even with this, right, this was a consistent move. If you go look at something like QQQ, right, same thing here. So this today market was just on steroids, right? Just took off. Now a lot of times, like I said, if you go back and you look at Friday, right, same exact thing here, right? So price opened and it sold off right out the gate after the reports of the job claims came out, right? Once you sold off, this next candle opens and it pushes down to here, also retesting those previous quarter highs, right? And this is also an order block. So this is a key level of support, and it again bounced from here. So a lot of the times, you can trade breakouts, you can trade reversals. It really just depends on what works best for you. But these are all things that you can watch out for. But as long as you mark out key levels, it'll make things a lot easier for you. It'll make things way, way, way easier for you. Where we at? 1,800 likes. Yo, let's get to 5K likes, y'all. 5K likes, spam the likes. QQQ was wicking at previous day highs today. Yeah, it is. So look, even here, right? Price opens and goes straight to the previous day high. Like, you don't have to take my word for it, right? Or you don't have to learn from me. But one of the most key things that you can do is look left. These were previous day highs on pre-market. Price came back to the same level and started wicking right? So now we're just consolidating. So this is why I don't trade on Mondays after very strong days, like on Friday and Thursday, because a lot of time you get caught in this. So here's what happens. Traders will see a move like this and think it's gonna keep going, right? But you have to respect the fact that once a move happens like this, 9 times out of 10, you won't get another move like this until the end of the day. So a lot of times, like right now it's 312, right? The market's probably just going to chop up the rest of the day unless by 350 we get a crazy move, which normally happens. So just even watching this, right? You got to respect the fact that if the move happens, it happened without you. It's all good. There's always another opportunity, right? Like you can't always beat yourself up that, you know, you missed the trade and all this stuff, right? Like it's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always another trade. Like you don't have to sit there and be stressed out and like do all that to yourself. Don't do it. You know what I mean? Just understand that there's always going to be another trade. Okay? What the hell is the Strat, bro? So there's this guy named Rob Smith, right? He passed away a few years ago, so rest in peace to him. He was basically trading in the market for like, I think he said 15, 20 years, or no, I think it was way longer than that. It was like 30 plus years he was in the market, right? And, you know, he's working on Wall Street and all these things. And he was looking for simpler ways to understand price action, right? So if you don't know what price action means, right, or if I'm saying all these big words, this is why you want to hit the follow button and keep coming to these lives, right? So that way you can learn what these things mean. The only way that it's going to be easier for you to understand everything I'm talking about in here is by just consistently coming back and hearing me say it over and over. And when I explain it, right, then you can say, okay, this is what this means. Because at the end of the day, like, the worst thing that'll happen is that you'll learn something, right? The best thing that'll happen is you'll learn something that'll change your life. That's what you get in exchange for a follow, right? So basically, Rob Smith, he started looking at candlesticks and he realized there's only 3 things that happen with every single candle, right? So what does that mean? The way you read the Strat is based off the previous candlestick, right? So every candle, like these numbers are always based off the candle right before it. And what it's doing is it's showing you based off what happened, what is happening now. So in any strategy, right, it's always what happened in the past, now what's going to happen now, right? Like, and you're basically taking an educated guess on what's going to happen afterwards, right? So this is the premise of every strategy, right? Everything is support and resistance, but the overall premise of trading is looking at what happened in the past, comparing it to what's happening now, and making an educated guess on what could happen next. That's how you're trading. That's literally it, right? If I could simplify trading in just the most simplest terms, you're understanding what happened in the past so you can make an educated decision now on what could happen next. Oh my God, that's a beautiful way to just break down the market, is it not? Is that not like a super simple way for you to understand that? That is what you're doing when you're trading. And this is what candlesticks are telling you. This is why the chart is important. It's just showing you what happened. What has already happened. Poetry, exactly. It's just beautiful, beautiful, right? So every candlestick, you read it based off the previous candlestick. So let's say this candlestick right here, right? The way you read this candle is based off this candle. So this is called a 2 up. So the candle broke the previous candle's high and it closed above where it opened. That's what makes it a 2 up, okay? The reason this is a 2 down, right, is because it broke this candle, right? So this is a 2 down. The reason this is a 2 down is because this candle broke this low right here. So to make it easier, right, it basically broke lower and it closed lower. This is why it's red, okay? The 2s make sense so far? We already talked about 1s, right? So a 1 is when, let's say you look at this candle right here, this purple one, right? You mark out the high and the low. Well, what do you notice? The reason this is a 1 is because this candle has not broken past here or broken past here. It's consolidating. It is sitting in between these, right? It is sitting in between the high and the low of the previous candle. It's called choppiness or consolidation, right? Just big words for just chop. Just put it like that, right? When we look at this, so the market is currently open right now. What did I say? Usually at around, well, right now, oh my God, did some news just come out? I think we could come up and fill this gap at 565.12. But on a 3-bar, so look at this candle that's open right now, right? This is a strong move. So a 3-bar, also known as an outside bar, so they have like nicknames, right? An outside bar, right? What you can look at is a break below, right? So this candle broke below this candle's low, and it broke above the previous candle's high. It did both. And now it's running, right? This is a strong move. Now, another thing that you need to understand about the strat is these things right here. So this is the 30-minute, this is the hour, this is the 4-hour, the day, the week, the month, and the quarter. All of these are green. So basically what this is telling you is if I go on any of these time frames, whether it's the daily, whether it's the weekly, whether it's the monthly, whether it's the quarter, all of the time frames on the higher, all of the higher time frames are green, right? Which gives you more confidence when you're in a trade, right? And it's called full time frame continuity. It's when all the time frames are in alignment. And this is why the strat is so important. Not only are you understanding price action and what candlesticks are doing, which is the most important thing about trading, right? But you're basing everything off what happened and what could possibly happen next. Is that a good explanation for those of you guys who don't understand the strat or are new to the strat? Is that a decent explanation? Yo, we almost at 5K likes. Yo, at 10K likes, I'll break down my my strat indicator settings. So if y'all give me the 10K likes, I'll show y'all my settings that y'all can just pretty much copy for free. And again, they're in my bio. For those of you guys who are newer, you never traded the strat, you don't know none of the strat combinations, you don't know what none of those candlesticks mean. If you click the link in my bio, there's a free Discord in there where I send out free trades. There's like a 5-hour guide in there, like it's free, and like some PDFs and stuff that you can read up on to just get more knowledgeable on it. So all you gotta do is just put your email in, you get access. It's 100% free. The end of the day push is happening. That definitely is. Tesla going crazy. Let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla retested this 312 level. 312 is a pretty strong level of resistance, which was once support in the past. Another thing to note is that you're coming back into this order block, right? So a lot of times I don't like to trade in an order block. So for those of you guys who don't know what an order block is, it's basically another form of support and resistance. It's just understanding where people who trade with a ton of money, where they like to buy and sell from, essentially, right? So when price is here, usually if you look at this, right, price came into this order block and it sold off, right? And it came all the way back down. So a lot of times price will come into order blocks and they'll have a massive move afterwards sometimes, right? Not all the time, but you know, sometimes. So even looking here at Tesla, so for those of you guys who are looking at this and you're like, yo, what the hell is this red box around this wick? This is called a liquidity sweep or a liquidity grab, right? So what does that mean? Okay, this is called a liquidity sweep, liquidity grab, right? There's different ways to say it. There's different, things that people call it, right? This is basically a fake out. This was a strong move up, and then it immediately, I'm talking like within like a couple seconds, sweep the liquidity. So what does liquidity mean, right? So when you guys are trading, right? Let's say options, for example. Let's just put options just because we're talking about options, right? Everything is based off orders. So what do I mean by that? When you're buying calls, you're placing an order in the market. So how many of you guys have heard of like limit orders or market orders? How many of you guys have heard of that? Comment me down below if you've heard of a limit order or a market order. Me. Okay. So look, basically what it is, right, is you're placing an order. So before you buy a call or before you buy a put, right, you have to place an order, right? Like to buy a call, you have to set an order in to buy it, right? To buy a put, you have to set an order in, right? So the way it works is a liquidity grab or liquidity sweep is when orders are coming in and it's an influx of orders and they get swept. So basically what happens is orders came in and then orders immediately came out faking out all the retailers or all the individuals who may not have expected a fake out. Can you use a strat on crypto? Yeah. If you look at Bitcoin, it was a 3-bar. I'll show you in a minute. So this is a liquidity grab, right? So there was a ton of orders that came in and those orders got swept, right? And then usually a lot of times what will happen is when you see something like this, a huge wick, just shows you what? What does this show you? When you see something like this, it breaks out and then it comes crashing back down. Who's in control? Who can tell me in the chat? Exactly. Sellers, the bears, exactly, right? Basically stopped everybody out. Sellers, exactly. So anyone who was a bull, right, or buyers at these levels, right, up here, they all got stopped out. They got faked out. They got juked. They got hit with the AI move. You know what I'm saying? Like, just got crossed out their shoes, right? And now since sellers are in control, price reverses back in the opposite direction. So this is called a 2-2 reversal. So you have a green 2 up and you have a red 2 down. That is a reversal, right? This is why the strat is so important, because you can spot this stuff and say, wow, like when you compare it, when you add in the strat and then you add in smart money concepts, which is those order blocks and all that stuff, right? When you add these in, it makes looking at this so much easier. It's a shooter candle too. Yeah, it's a shooter as well. Like, these are all things that you can put in alignment with each other to trade at a higher level, right? So you know this, right? So if you know your candlestick patterns, right, you know this is a shooter candle. If you know smart money concepts, you know this is an order block. If you know, if you have Lux Algo, which is the indicator that marks this out, you know, a liquidity sweep or a liquidity grab, you know that. These are 3 things in alignment. So if you're trading Tesla and you're looking at this, right, and you see this quick, huge move to the upside, right, and then you see a liquidity grab, you see this happening, and you see the order block, right, because you use smart money concepts, you're expecting a reversal. So you're more confident in taking the reversal. You are more confident shorting it. People who open up a chart, right? Yo, what up, Zarn? People who open up a chart or open up their phone and just buy calls or buy puts, they're getting smoked because they don't know how to read a chart. They don't know how to read a chart. An order block, this is just support and resistance. So people who don't trade with support and resistance getting smoked, getting torched, cooked, alive. You know what I'm saying? So you see this reversal here? This candle right here is all you needed. And what else do you notice right here? Who can tell me? What do we have right here? I'm literally circling it right here. Where is all of this happening at? Comment down below if you know the answer. Exactly. It's happening at a key level at previous day highs, right? So you see why it's important to just mark them out, right? So where did all of this happen at? This candle, is it not all in alignment? Like, are you, for those of you guys who are watching this right now, for those of y'all who haven't commented once, I just want to know real quick, right? Yes or no? Is this making a little bit more sense? Even if you've never traded this strategy before, right? Think about how you're understanding the market. Eve says she's understanding it, right? Like, think about how you're like, most people trade so much differently, and that's fine. But like, I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't the smartest person in high school. I never went to college or nothing like that. So like, I needed something that was like, just, I can understand. I'm not saying I'm slow or nothing like that, right? But like, I just needed something I can truly understand. And when I came across the strat, that's when everything clicked. Everything clicked. Because you start understanding what the candlesticks are doing. And by understanding what a candlestick is doing, you're understanding what price is doing. What are all the indicators that you use? At 10K likes, I'll go over all my indicators with you. I'll share all my indicators. All right? 10K likes, get us there. But you're on YouTube, so I'll share it with you anyways once we get to 10K likes. I know TikTok can do it though. I believe in y'all. They can get us to 10K. So notice this, right? From closing the trades. This man does everything. Appreciate you. I was actually already in the market around the same time I started getting into clothing. Yeah, I wasn't day trading. I tested it out. I blew accounts, lost some money. Boy, I got smoked. In 1 month, I lost 20 bands, thinking I knew it all. Like, boy, oh boy, if you're trying to make fast money, don't come to trading. This shit will humble you. Good Lord, yeah. Look at this candle. So look what's happening right now. So look, you could literally, in this candle prints in 2 minutes. So you had a wick to the upside. This is a rejection, right? You had another wick here, rejection to the upside on this order block, right? You have a wick to the upside, wick to the upside, wick to the upside. Now what are you doing? You're rejecting this previous day highs, and it's a 3 bar. So I could literally take, like right now, I could literally take Tesla puts and my targets. I could use this low right here as my target, and then I could also use this low. So let's see how it plays out. Right now, even though Tesla moves a ton, you're taking same week contracts. So this would be my setup, right? I will wait for this candle to print. If it closes below previous day high, I would take puts, right? And if it comes down and it breaks and goes 3-2, I'll take my puts. And then my levels is first level here, second level here, third level here. Those are my price targets. And then you would have an extreme target all the way down here. And then you could swing this into tomorrow. Make sense? Did you make more swing trading, day trading, or scalping? Long-term investing, to be completely honest with you. That was my buying shares, swinging shares. That's where the bulk of, like, even my net worth in general, that's where it came from. All the money I was making from my businesses, from my clothing, from do-rags and everything that I was doing, everything that I was doing, I was putting in the market. Because I had a scarce mentality. So what do I mean by that? I was always scared of going broke, right? Like, I knew a lot of people who made a ton of money, right? And they lost it all. So, like, for me, one of the things that I had noticed was the best way to just preserve it is to invest it. So I just went in this deep, stupid, crazy rabbit hole of the stock market. Like, I have this notebook in my room. I've never written all the way through a notebook, even through high school or middle school or in any grade level. I've never in life got all the way to the end of a notebook. I don't know about y'all, but when I talk about like how serious I was with trading and investing, that was the first time that happened. That was the first time it happened. That was the first time I wrote all the way through a notebook, and I learned pretty much, like, I wouldn't say everything, but I learned a lot of stuff when it came to the market as a whole. What's up, Dantes? How's your trading day going today? Yo, what up, Josh? I didn't trade today. I'm sitting cash, sitting on capital today. Shit looks like it worked out too, fam. So look, if I take in the puts with you right here, your trade will currently be green, right? But the biggest thing is you got to learn how to be patient. So another thing is, once your trade is in green, you set alerts. How do you set an alert? You click this line, and then you come over here and you take this little thingamajiggy right here, right? You take this clock, and then you set an alert, and you say, hey, target 1 hit. So this is how I have my alert set. Target 1 hit. Boom. Then I will have another one. Target 2 hit. Then I will have target 3, target 4. And then you wait, right? So you're currently watching price action, set alerts, and walk away. Exactly. It's a simple way to trade, right? For those people who just love sitting at the charts all day and shit like that, bro, I got a life to live. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you can't be profitable sitting at the charts all day and stuff like that. But, like, to me, right, I would just say, hey, do what you do. Do you use AI to trade? Nah, I don't use AI to trade. Oh no, here comes another trading guru. Oh no. I flipped the call on Nvidia for a 42% return, man. Not a bad day. Yo, love to see it. Congrats. Good job, fam. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He said, oh no, here comes another trading guru. But yeah. This ideally would have been a nice trade to take, especially rejecting previous day highs. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we retest 303 tomorrow, or even just 300, because this has a gap fill down here at 301. Yo, we almost at 10K likes. At 10K likes, I'll go over all my indicators. What kind of indicator is this one? Which one? The numbers or order blocks? What are those 1s, 2s, and 3s? Stay focused, bro. LOL, people gonna be people. That's facts. I'm getting better at it. Might just take a trade off your setup here. Go for it, bro. Ideally, you want to take it when it initially breaks, but today was ass. This is why I don't trade after from Thursday and Friday. When you have extreme volume like that, usually going into the next week, it tends to be choppy. The numbers is called Strat Assistant on TradingView. Strat Assistant. Today was great. Hey, my boy John been killing it. What all markets do you trade? I personally scalp the futures market and swing trade forex. I only trade options right now. I dabbled into futures a little bit. I have a futures account, but I'm not as heavily into it as I am with options and just the stock market in general. I don't do anything forex related though. You said 10K. Yes, 10K likes. 10K likes. Once I get this setup done, I'm gonna start live trading on here, and I'm gonna have my P&L like somewhere where like where this says link in bio to free Discord. I'm gonna have like my P&L right there. So when I'm live trading on those days that I do decide to live trade, you guys will just be able to see when stuff is in the red, when stuff's in the green, and all that good stuff. What indicator shows the previous day high on your charts? There's this indicator called Lux Algo. You got to go to luxalgo.com. So it's let me type it in the chat for you. Lux Algo. So you go to luxalgo.com, and I pay $60 a month for it. Okay. All right, cool. So yeah, this would be your trade setup, and then you have your alert set. So you have alert 1, alert 2, alert 3, alert 4. So we'll come back and look at Tesla. I'll get the notifications to my phone on if the first target was hit, second target, third target, fourth target, so on and so forth. Could have had PLTR and hit all my targets. My job messed me up and I missed the entry. Yeah, bro, that's the one thing about trading and you work. It's like a lot of times you might get the alert, but you might not be able to take action right then and there. Yeah, like this initial break here, just for it to pull right back to previous day highs. So look, it's the same. Like, how many tickers have we gone through right now? And you're seeing the same exact thing over and over again, right? Look what happens. Price comes right back to the previous day high, bounces from previous day high. So look, this candle opens, it pushes and breaks past the previous candle. It comes down to this previous day high, retests it, and then fails and reverses. When it reverses with momentum, because this is a key level. Is key level starting to make a little bit more sense now, y'all? When checking if price breaks above a 2-bar, how are we checking for the body or the wick on lower time frames? Wait, explain that again. Sorry, I don't think I caught it. When checking if price breaks above a 2-bar, are we checking for the body or the wick on a lower time frames? So if something, let's say a candle breaks, right? Let's say on a lower, so when something breaks on a higher time frame, right? Ideally, what you're gonna look for is a reversal setup on a lower time frame. That question doesn't make sense. Yeah, I'm trying to make it click, but I'm not making it click. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yo, we're 1,700 likes on TikTok away from going over all my indicators. Awesome platform, great content. Yo, appreciate you, T4. Appreciate you, fam. This eyelash is like killing me. Okay. Holy shit. But yeah, even with PLTR, right? You got this breakout, reversed off order block, came right back down. I want to see. IWM end of the day move. I mean, like, this is just like our calls entry. So look at this, y'all. In our pre-market call, we gave out this entry right here. IWM 2-1 setup on the 4-hour. Price broke under VWAP and currently rejecting it. Want to see if it stays under for the puts entry to be valid. Calls above 217.10 and puts below 216. Right? You come over here. Whoops. Right? You come look at this. Let me just pull this back up. Calls 217.10. Once it breaks through, price just rips and it stays above the whole time. Comes right back to previous day highs, previous quarter highs, continues to run. That's where you got to leave those runners though. No lie. I'm digging the transparency and the vibe, transparency and explanation. Yo, appreciate that, man. You trade the strat? Yes. Sorry, I just came in late. What do you use as a strategy? What time frame do you check your bias? So I use the strat and smart money concepts, so SMC. Time frame wise, I find all my entries off higher time frames unless there's no entry there. Then I go down to the lower ones. So like even on this trade, right? This was the setup right here. This is off the 4-hour, y'all. Like everything that I'm explaining to y'all is all the same stuff that I'm sending in a Discord on a day-to-day basis in the morning time before the market opens in my Discord. It's hard to leave them running sometimes. It is. The biggest thing is like, this will help a ton of people, right? Let's say you buy 3 contracts, right? Set 3 price targets. So what you do is you sell the first contract at the first price target. You sell your second contract at the second price target, and then the last one you let it run. That's how you can maximize profits on your trades. Do you still like trading earnings, or you just stick with ETFs? Bro, honestly, I haven't traded any earnings. I've really only been trading IWM and SPX. I feel like there's different things that work for everybody, right? But I think that like for me, it's hard for me to be so scattered, right? Like different stocks on earnings have different, personalities and things like that. And can they run? Absolutely. I think for me, I just needed to learn how SPX works most importantly though. Low-key, the ETFs trades be paying consistently. Yeah, they're more consistent, right? Like think about it. You might trade Tyson, right? So TSN, right? This was a trade setup we sent out earlier today, right? So you might trade TSN, but what happens when you get smoked on like this right here? Like, I mean, yeah, you got the fake out to the downside. You could have anticipated it coming back down, but even then it reversed, right? So like there's so many different characteristics that these stocks have when it comes to trading them that like I would rather just understand how SPX trades and master SPX. Yo, shout out to Laura for the follow on Twitch. Yo, if y'all didn't know, right now I'm multi-streaming right now, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. Shout out to all my people. If you are in here on any one of those platforms right now, go ahead and leave a follow or a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps the stream a ton. But yeah, I try not to trade earnings, to be honest. Most of the earnings I take L's on. Yeah, I mean most of your L's are gonna come from earnings because you gotta think like you're not trading those tickers outside of earnings, right? So like you have no clue how it's gonna move, right? And even during earnings, you gotta remember earnings is a lot of fake outs, it's a lot of profit taking, it's a lot of shit going on, right? So like you gotta be more on your toes. With QQQ, IWM, SPX, there's more news, more articles that come out that could swing the market in your favor, right? Or like it's easier to take setups off of the ETFs for sure. Camera do you have? This is a Sony A6400. Sounds good. What do you look as your POI in the higher time frame? Yo, y'all, we are 500 likes away, and I'll go over all my indicators with y'all. What do you look at as your POI in the higher time frame? So since I trade the strat, I look for 3s or failed 2s. Those are the main candlesticks I look for. How did you start trading? So here's what happened, right? So at first I was in the clothing space. I had started a do-rag brand, right? And then I scaled that to 6 figures. So that was my first 100K liquid came from selling bonnets and do-rags and brushes online, right? I had a couple videos that went viral with me and my daughter, and things just kind of fucking took off. So then I was like, I had this business that was scaling, but our margins were thin, right? So like we would get 300 orders on a week, like let's say on a Friday, we'll do a drop and we'll get 300 orders, and I got to fulfill 300 orders. But the profits is like, okay, you're making 20, 30K a month. You might be keeping like on some honest shit, like maybe 16 to 18,000, right? And it was great money, right? But I just felt like for the amount of work that I was putting in, like I could have outsourced it, absolutely. But for the stage that I was at, I was 20, right? I didn't know nothing about hiring people or none of that stuff. That's why I had to just evolve and learn. So basically, like, I started a clothing brand. And the reason I went to clothing was because I knew I could sell stuff at a higher price point. Like, I already knew I could sell things online because of what I did with my first business. So me going to clothing was me now taking my profit margins from making, $8 to $12 profit per do-rag or per bonnet that I was selling to now making $60 to $70 profit per jogging suit that I was selling. So when I made the transition over, I'm like, yo, this is going to allow me to make more money for the time that I am putting in, right? I basically, long story short, scaled that business, and then I started putting all my money in the stock market, and that is when I started learning about day trading. I was already long-term investing, so like I was buying Nvidia. Like on one of my accounts, I showed my Discord community, but my long-term account has a 2,000% return on shares of Nvidia. I've been buying Nvidia since 2021. I was buying AMD, SPG, Simon Property Group. I was buying all these stocks. I was building this crazy dividend portfolio. I was generating money from my businesses. And I'm like, you know what? At the time, I'm probably 22, doing like, I would say like 50 to like 80K a month. And this is like coming straight to my pocket. Like, this is after expenses, after paying out my new team, all that shit, right? So I'm like, you know what? Day trading gonna be easy. Boy, I got into day trading, and I'm like, I'm gonna start this account with 20K. That was probably the fastest 20K I've ever lost in my life. Didn't know nothing about the charts. Think about this. I was not even checking the charts. It wasn't until I was down, like, I remember this. Look, I opened up the account with 20K. I started trading on like a Wednesday. By that next Monday, I was already down 5,000. So at that moment, as I'm down 5K, I'm like, all right, now let me lock in. So I just start going on this YouTube spree. Like, I'm talking support and resistance videos, supply and demand, how to draw this. I watched Trading View for idiots or for dummies or some stuff like that on YouTube. Like, I was watching all this stuff. And real quick, look at this, y'all. Did we not just say Tesla first target hit? This was a trade that you could have literally taken right here on the live. That's what you get when you follow the live. You know what I'm saying? Now you just got your second and third and fourth targets, right? But yeah, back to the story. So I was down 5K, and I was like, you know what? Let me learn how to let me learn this stuff for real. And I started going down this rabbit hole, watching an insane amount of videos. Still lost the rest of that money later that month, and then I stepped away. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to come back to this. And then I came back to it. I bought courses. I paid for mentorships. That's when I really started saying, all right, let me lock in on this shit for real. Started learning. Still was losing. And then I just started finding my way through just repetition. Like, I really credit everything to just reps. Like, I focus on getting more reps in than anybody else. And I think that that's one of the most important things you could do in order to be successful is just strive to get more reps, as like the most amount of reps you could possibly get, strive to get it. So yeah, that's basically how I got into trading. Do you swing trade? We do swing trade. I have a trader in our community who sends out swing trades. And when I say he be cooking, shout out to Nova. Nova be cooking. Oh my God. Nova is a dog. He takes overnight swings. And I'm talking waking up to 80%, 200%. I need to have him do a class in TSA on how he does it. Because even now, I still don't understand it. But hey, it just works for him. He feels like it's easier for him to trade when he's not having to look at the chart. So if he could take a trade overnight based off price action he's seen at the end of the day and then swing it it makes sense. I mean, it works. I mean, if it works, it works. You know, if it works, it works. All right, so look, we had 10K likes. So let's go over all the indicators now. So first off is Strat Assistant. So let's move this over here so TikTok can see it. So the first one is called Strat Assistant, which is right here, okay? Ricky Z. Carroll. When you have the Strat Assistant, right? Let's pull this up. Okay, here's what it'll look like. When you download it, or not download it, when you add it to your chart, this is what it'll look like. All you want to do is turn off 2 up bar shape and 2 bar shape. Just turn those 2 off. Everything else you leave the same. So this is the first indicator that I use. This will bring the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, and all that stuff onto your chart. So this is the first one. The second indicator that I use is called VWAP, auto anchored. So if you come over here again and we type in, we can just go to my favorites, and you'll come down here to the bottom, VWAP auto anchored. So we're gonna go ahead and click that. This is by, it's not by anyone in particular. It's just this one right here. VWAP auto anchored. That's the one you want to click on. That's gonna bring the VWAP line right here. So these blue dots. That's gonna bring that. I turn all these off and I just leave this one on. And then on the inputs, you want to make sure it's set to 14, so it'll show based off the last 14 candlesticks. All right. Next up is up here, this chart up here. This is called Sadie ATR levels. And for those of you guys who are like, yo, Tez, you're going too fast, this is being streamed on YouTube as well. And it's going to be saved on Twitch. So you can always go back and rewatch this video as many times as you want. So you basically come in here, you go to Sadie ATR levels, and this is by Sadie, this is by Sadie Mahajan. I don't want to butcher the name no more. But yeah, I use this one. And basically what this is it'll show you how much the stock has moved based upon its average, right? So an ATR stands for average true range. Basically, how far can this thing move before it gets exhausted, right? So it's like, you know, if someone was running a mile and they say, yo, I can only run a mile, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, yo, we can run 2. But this person's like, nah, only run 1. It's my average, right? That's basically what it means. They can either run a little bit more, or they run a little bit less, but overall their average is this. So the reason this is important is because it shows you how much this stock moves on average. And then right here on the left, this is how much it's moved so far today. So today Tesla moved $9.12, which is 64% of its ATR. Does that make sense? Drop a yes in the chat if everything making sense. Everything clicking so far? Are we clicking or are we clicking? Do you trade futures? Not as consistently as I trade options. Yo, let me get 10 yeses in the chat real quick. I need to know this is making sense, yo, before I keep going. That's 5. I need 5 more, y'all. What's the indicator name? Which one? Would you ever trade crypto? I don't know. I've thought about it, honestly. I really thought about it. Okay, good. We got 10 yeses. Good. Where do you put the settings at for that? For what? Oh, for Strat. I mean the Sadie ATR levels. You just leave it the same. You don't have to change anything. Oh wait, actually you do. You want to turn all of these off. Under style, turn all of these off. Oh my gosh. Turn all these off. What pair are we looking at? This is Tesla. We're watching Tesla. Okay. Next up is, okay, so this is Lux Algo right here. This is going to show the order blocks gaps, previous day highs, previous day lows, liquidity grabs, equal highs and equal lows. It'll show you Monday's highs, Monday's lows, weekly lows, monthly lows, quarterly lows, so on and so forth. It'll show all of these under this one indicator. So like when you see PDH right here, or you see PDL or PWL or PWH, Monday's lows, this is all coming with the indicator. I paid $60 a month for it. You don't have to have it. I highly recommend it. As far as the settings go, show breakers, I turn that off. Equal highs and lows, that's on. Liquidity grabs on. Fair value gaps on. Daily, Monday, weekly, monthly, quarterly, all of these are on. You can color code them however you please, and then the rest of them you leave the same. And then last is the volume indicator, which is just down here. This is the volume indicator right here, showing you just how much volume is coming in. And yeah, that's all the indicators. Clean, straight to the point, right? And again, like I said, if you missed this, you can go to Dantes Akram on YouTube, and you can catch all of this inside of the YouTube video. Or if you want me to just teach it directly to you, there is a free Discord group in my bio. All you gotta do is click the link in my bio. It'll take you right over there. You just click free trading group or whatever it says right there. You basically just click it, you put your email in, and then we'll send you a free invite. We'll send you like 1 or 2 free plays a week, and then it goes over all of this stuff in depth. How do you get your after hour sessions to show up? If you come down here to the bottom right, you click on extended trading hours. You just need to make sure you have the TradingView subscription. Thanks, no problem. No problem, no problem. Market actually closes in 5 minutes. Okay, let's review everything. So QQQ had this 3-bar extra push up, end of the day push right here. Got some volatility here in this last 5 minutes of the day. Let's see IWM. Currently consolidating inside of an order block. Let's check SPY. SPY filled this gap, which is good, so we can delete this line. So the gap has fully been cleared. That's crazy. We marked out this calls entry at 626, and I'm talking just out of there. Almost ran 100% of its ATR. Love to see it. I want to see Bitcoin as well. So Bitcoin right now, we had a retest of 115.69. Wait, 115,697. So you have this retest here, coming back to an order block. This was a strong push up, so this is going to be another strong level of support here in this order block. So we'll see how it wants to react. See PLTR, they have report their earnings today after hours. So their earnings is coming up. This is going to be a lot of people buying contracts right now. I've seen that some people be catching 1,000% on SPX on that last 10 minutes. Yeah, no, yeah, you know about it. The Rig 10, that shit's crazy, yo. But you can also lose quick. The theta on those contracts, disgustingly high. You let, like, if you enter the contract at the wrong time, you're cooked. Like, you gotta, like, if you're gonna catch the last 10-minute move, you gotta be in your trade by, like, at the latest, like 6:43, 6:44. Like, you gotta be very particular about it. Cause you gotta think every minute is killing your contract. But yeah, even right now, it's still making that strong push up. It's not gonna fill this gap today, but it's definitely possible. Like, look at this. You gapped up, pushed up, now coming into the next gap. 643? I mean, 343. Did I say 643? Probably did. Market is moving. What other questions you guys got? In hindsight, if we break back over here, I think the market will start showing some more strength. But we got to see if this gap gets filled. Yo, I clip for you. What's up? Yo, shout out to all my people on Twitch. Shout out to all y'all that's just dropping the follows on Twitch. I greatly appreciate y'all, for real. Micro gold. I don't trade gold. If I did trade futures though, I would trade gold, but I don't. Probably get a strong close here into a strong move into close, and then I'll probably close out that. Another one I wanted to look at was Robinhood. I seen that it held over 100. Oh my goodness, look at this. Nasty move, bro. Look at this again. Like, I'm telling you, key levels. Price came all the way down to previous quarter highs. Retested this strong level at 97.50. And then bounced from 97.50 all the way to 106. That's a $9 move. This stock normally moves $5.30 on average. It just moved double its ATR, almost double today alone. Crazy work. Crazy work, man. This is, again, understanding the strat and market key levels, yo. And again, like I said, even if you don't trade the strat, even if you don't trade the same setup, or not setup, but same strategy, just mark off key levels. Asian Jim, what up, bro? Just mark off key levels. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Tomorrow's class in TSA, I'm definitely teaching that. And those key levels, bro, like, you could literally just keep back testing it. Like, just go back and look, right? They're just strong levels of support and resistance. That's it. Watching price around these levels will save you a ton of time and a ton of money. Because instead of trying to short this and trying to buy puts on Robinhood at previous quarter highs, you already know that this is support. So when price comes back here, you're waiting for a reaction. You're waiting for the bounce. When you start seeing the candles start moving back, right, you just take the calls and you size for zero. You wait for the trade, right, and you have your target at previous day highs, right? This is another, look at this. Comes right back to the same exact level and then breaks above. And then 9 times out of 10 tomorrow, you'll see a retest, and then we'll continue moving higher. Crazy work, man. It's the same stuff over and over and over and over again. That's why I always say price has memory. Price has memory. I want to see bull. Yep, got that break back over 1392. And then their earnings is August 28th. I'm still in my position here on bull, so let's see. You see, I'll probably pull it up over here real quick. Nope, not that. Let me pull it up here. Oh my God, it's making me log in again. I'm not about to do that right now. Bull to the moon. Yeah, I'm still in it. I still have the shares too, so the shares are fine. My contracts on these, I have $20 calls for January, and they at one point they were up 170%. I took out my almost like majority of my initial position, so I'm just kind of just letting, like, the only risk I have on here is like $2,500 now. I took out $7,500. So I basically, the options contracts are damn near free for me. But yeah, my target is still $20. Even on the, if we go over to the daily time frame, like, we came up right into this order block. Like, no one can ever tell me that order blocks don't work. Price made a strong move up into the order block, rejected and fell off of a cliff, but you're still making higher highs and higher lows on the bigger picture. This is a weekly time frame. If you go over to the weekly time frame, you're still making, this is just a lower high, or a higher low, right? This is just a higher low. So that next move higher, we need to break 1887, and then that's where we get into this gap fill to 2587. That's like my extreme target. If we get that by January, oh, it's over. I think they can do it this month, or even next month, like middle of next month, because they have earnings at the end of this month. So we'll see. We will see. We will see. We will see. For those of you guys who are in here right now, what questions you guys got? What can I clarify for you? What can I help you with? But yeah, this is bull. Let me see. I actually want to see AMD. They report their earnings as well. Kind of figured they would chop up today. Nvidia 3-2 continuation, broke above Monday's highs, came back, retested it, continued going higher. What else is there? Oh, Apple. I seen they got smoked. Yep. Strong move. Right back through previous month lows. Came back and retested it. Continued falling. Apple is done, bro. Let me see on the daily. Oh my god, that is disgusting. This is disgusting move. If we break back under here, that's not looking good. What do you think about broadening formations and strat assists? I like both of them. Broadening formations are really good. I just don't talk about them on streams as much because they're more advanced. So most of the people, if they see those lines, they'd be like, yo, this is too much. But I do believe that they are the strongest things that you can do. Like use. If you go over to SPX, I had my broadening formation here from earlier. I think it was on the 4-hour time frame. Nope. Damn, what was it on? Was it the hour? Oh, it was the hour. Connected to this high. Connected to this low. Currently just hovering around it. But yeah, I love broadening formations. But like I said, it's just more advanced. Like most people don't really know too much about broadening formations, so. Is this day trading or stocks and bonds? This is day trading, options, stock options. That is what I do. Yeah, I don't trade futures or forex. I mean, I dabble in futures, but nothing too crazy. Not like a substantial amount of money or anything like that. What indicator is that? Which one? We just went over all the indicators. Which one are you talking about? Yeah, if you trade the strat, broadening formations are definitely more advanced, but when you learn them, you'll never look back. Palantir just reported their earnings. Let's see what they did. Sheesh. I wonder if they can hit 200 by Friday. That same O and number 1, 2, 3 candles. The 1, 2s, and 3s is called Strat Assistant. It's an indicator on TradingView. Not the Strat Assistant, just Strat Assistant. That shit looks crazy. Imagine being in a trade and something is moving like that. There was a day on QQQ, it was moving just like this. So remember, right? Like these are orders that are being placed right now on this candlestick. Like these are just orders. These are institutions buying and selling, and investors buying and selling based off of the earnings report of Palantir. So there's some people adding shares, there's some people selling shares. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. Now, obviously, we can't trade during this time period because this is post-market. But yeah. Looks good, dang. Thanks. No problem, bro. No problem. No problem. All right, y'all. Any other questions? Yo, real quick, if you guys learned anything at all, like I'm talking, even if it was just one small piece, you just like, oh my God, I just learned that, right? I want you to click the follow or subscribe button, depending on what platform you're on right now. Go ahead and just hit the follow and the subscribe button. That way you don't miss another live. I'm back to my normal schedule of streaming, so make sure you guys pull up to those. You'll get notified on your phone when I go live if you are subscribed or following. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that, all right? I'm currently learning about broad informations in the strat. Mind blown. Just gotta have some money to do options. Maybe leaps. Heard is cheapest way to start. Nah, leaps are very expensive. To be honest, bro. Leaps are expensive. You gotta have some. You gotta have some money. Hems reported earnings as well. Oh my God. Getting smoked. Just did. Yo, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, for those of you guys as well, who are looking for like free guide, free information and stuff like that, if you click the link in my bio, even if you're on YouTube, you can click the link in my bio as well, and you'll be able to find a free Discord link where you can just join the free section that we have of my Discord community. And yeah, I didn't get the link for the beginners Discord or training. Check your email and your spam. When you sign up, you got to go check your spam and your junk mail if it doesn't send straight to your inbox. Yeah, Hems is getting smoked. Who else reported today? Actually, Wayfair dropped theirs earlier. Man, this move right here is disgusting. Straight back to previous month highs. Let's look at and semiconductor. Oh my gosh. Got it. Thank you. No problem. Look at this, y'all. Discord. Let me see who eating today. Cat going crazy. IWM 62%. QQQ 70%. QQQ again 45%. Saeed, I see you. ON 219%. That's a trade that I sent out earlier. Come in a bag emoji. 50% on Tesla, 170% on IWM. IWM did his thing today. I see IWM doing crazy numbers in aftermarket. Hems just dropped like crazy. How easy is it to understand if you're brand new to this? If you study, I think you'll understand it very well. If you don't, it'll be very difficult. I do teach everything in the free Discord, so you can check that out, so you can learn it. I don't think it'll take you very long to start understanding it, but it does take a little bit of time. I think Christina went crazy. Dantes' parents gave him money. That's funny. What up, brother? Hope all is solid. Yo, what up, bro? Hope all is well with you, brother. Yeah, ON. So look at this. That's what I was showing y'all. So we go over to the Discord, right? And we come over to the day trading signals channel. Missed earnings and now gapped down into an order block, but currently bouncing from this area. 3-bar at pre-market. So look at this. This was the setup right here. So when, like I told y'all, the candlesticks that I like to trade are failed 2s and 3s, right? So the way you take this entry on this trade that we called out earlier is like this. You mark the high and the low of this pre-market candle. That is a 3-bar. So this is a 3 because it broke the last candle's high and low. And you wait for it to continue. So it opens. So the market opens right here at 9:30. It pushes up, rejects previous week lows, and then your puts entry triggers. When this triggers, you don't hesitate, you take the trade. When you take the trade, it starts paying, and then obviously you see Momentum towards the end of the day picked up as well, and you start seeing the sell-off. And it never came back and retested the VWAP. So this entire time, outside of this time right here, but this entire time, you're just in green. From this entry, you made it all the way down here. So from 53.10 all the way down to 47, you're green. And this is where, you know, understanding the strat matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, understanding the setups that you like to take. If you only trade threes and fail twos, that'll change your life right there. Whatever amount of money you're trying to make, whatever job you're trying to replace, you can do it by just trading those two candlestick patterns right there. Threes and failed twos. That's all you need. In this world of complicated shit, that's all you need. Once it breaks, you look for the continuation. It breaks. It even breaks pre-market lows here too. That's where you had extra confirmation. The only time you would have gotten nervous is around previous month lows. You wait to see how price is reacting around it. So it rejects it at first. And then it opens, pushes up again, and then sells right off. Bro, this is so foreign to me. I wish my brain was built for this. Honestly, bro, it's like, I think it just looks more intimidating than what it really is, to be honest. Like, I feel like you will learn this and you'd be like, I can never, like, for the life of me, I don't think I could ever go back to trading supply and demand. Like, I still use the concepts in my trading, like when I'm looking at the charts and stuff. But like, I don't think I could only trade, like, I don't think I could trade without having the strat as my focus, because I think it gives me a different level of understanding of price action. But, you know, to each is their own, right? Like, I know a lot of people who trade just different strategies, and that's what works best for them. I just think the strat is so amazing, bro. Oh my God, it's been the one thing that I learned, and it was just like everything got so much simpler. All I need is good strategies and I'm set. I got you. So here's my strategy, right? Here's me giving you my strategy for free, right? Most people be charging y'all arm and a leg to teach you a strategy and all this shit, bro. You on the live, you hit the follow button, you get this information, all right? First, okay, I always find my entries off higher time frames. 6 hour, 4 hour, daily, those are my levels that I'm trying to find, right? Every trade that I just showed y'all today that went green for the Discord has been found either on the 4 hour or on the 6 hour. Every single trade that I just showed y'all, 4 hour or 6 hour, period, right? I find my trades on the higher time frames. 2, I only trade threes or failed twos. Threes or failed twos. Both of these are reversal candlesticks or momentum / volatility. Okay. 3rd, okay. What's a decent trading platform? I use Webull. Personally. You can use Thinkorswim. You can use Robinhood. A lot of our members, they use a variety of different things, but I personally use Webull. What was I saying? Damn. 3, I trade gaps. So a high probability setup to me, let's see if I can find one. A high probability setup. Crazy seeing you live around the corner from me to where you are now. Hey, appreciate that, man. Let's find a high probability setup with you real quick, and then we'll walk through it. Okay, actually, let's do it on IWM. It's way more consistent. Okay, so watch this. Watch this. Let's clear all of this off. Actually, no. We'll keep everything so I don't have to rechart this later today. But I'm gonna remove these right here, so you just see this, okay? So watch this. Let's go through this trade together, right? Let's go through this trade together. Let me pull this up over here. All right. Drop a yes in the chat if you guys can see the screen good. Drop a yes in the chat if you guys can see the screen good. Palantir tops $1 billion in revenue for the first time. Oh my God, bro. They're going insane. Fuck. Great company, bro. Great company. Holy fuck. All right. All right, y'all can see it? Okay. Okay, so let's go through a high probability trade together, okay? So first off, when you're looking at the chart, right, let's just say this is naked. So let's say you have no VWAP, you have just the Strat assistant, and let's say you have no order blocks, okay? So let's say you don't have any of that other stuff. You don't have any paid subscriptions or anything like that. You are just using what you currently have, which is the Strat Assistant, which is free. TradingView, which is free. If you pay for the subscription, you should. It's like $7 a month, right? All in all, you're only paying $8 a month, okay? Just don't eat no McDonald's fries. It's crazy. McDonald's fries is really $6 now. It's fucking crazy, but. So the very first thing is you want to look at pre-market. Pre and post-market, but look left, okay? Look left first. So anytime I look at a chart, I am always, the first thing I'm doing is what happened. How do you go through a good trade? How do you find a good trade? What happened? How do you know what could happen if you don't know what happened, right? So the first thing I do is I look left, right? So on the left back here, you have a gap. So price gap down, and this gap is an imbalance on the chart. It's basically naked. There's nothing in between there. So gaps get filled, or gaps either fill or continue, right? So what you do is you mark out the gap, because price will revisit this at some point in time. So you mark it out and you call it a gap fill, right? So I'll go ahead and I'll type gap fill, just like that. Boom. So you have this here, okay? You also know this is from the left. So this is where price gapped. When it gapped, right? So let's look over here. When the price gapped and the market opened, it sold off. So it's called gap and crap. That's, or, you know, gap and go, or whatever you want to call it, right? But when the gap opened, it continued to the downside, okay? So I know this based off yesterday. So I'm looking at yesterday and I'm saying, okay, what happened then, right? Next is I'm looking at what's going on more recently, which is today, which is the pre-market, right? So right here, I know that there's a gap here at 215.20, but also what? Because I marked off the upside, I know that there's a gap to the upside as well. Everybody following along? Type a yes in the chat if everything's clicking so far. If you're following along, drop a yes in the chat. I need to see like hella yeses. Just zoom through. Just type yes real quick. Did you code it yourself? Nah. No, I didn't. Okay, there we go. Trying to. I promise it's gonna click. I promise. Just keep watching, right? So I marked off this gap. So this open space, I marked it out. When the market, during pre-market hours, when I seen this gap here, I marked this off. So these are the same thing, right? It's a gap down. This is a gap up. That's it, right? I'm not explaining anything that's, you know, too much more complicated than that as of right now, right? Okay, good. YouTube is understanding. Y'all clicking. I love it. All right, cool. All right. The next thing you want to do is you want to mark off your key levels. So up here is previous quarter high. So this is where Lux Algo comes in, the indicator, right? Now I pay $60 a month. I don't have an affiliate code. I'm not selling you on it. It's just something I use. If you want to grab it, you can grab it. I don't have an affiliate link for you or nothing like that. Okay. It's just something that helps me. Okay. Do what you want. But because I use the indicator, it marks this as previous quarter high. Okay. Boom. So we know this, right? Now, another thing is we got to rewind this on here as well, because when you rewind on a lower time frame, this is something else if you guys don't know about TradingView. If you rewind on a lower time frame, like on a 30-minute, it won't rewind on the higher ones. So you got to go back from here, right? So I know that just did not make any sense, so I'm gonna just do what I was gonna do in the first place, right? So at 8:40 or like 8:30 a.m., I do these pre-market calls with my Discord community, and this is exactly how the chart looked. So I'm basically going through exactly what I went through with them earlier today before the market opened. So this is what I see. I say, hey guys, you know, we have a gap to the upside. We also have a gap to the downside, right? Or not here. Gap to the upside, gap to the downside. You see it because this open space. I marked them out. Great. When I see this, I mark off my previous quarter highs, and then I find my entry and my targets based off of the time frame that I'm finding the setup. So what do I mean by this, right? This candle right here is a 2-bar. So I mark the high and the low of this candle, and I promise you it's literally this simple, right? And what I do is I use this as my setup, right? So look, if you go back down to the 30-minute, this is what it looks like. So I marked those off on the 4 hour, but this is what it looks like on a lower time frame. Making sense? Perfect. So notice something, right? If price breaks above here, the next price it will go to, or the next level it'll go to, is previous quarter highs. If we break below here, we might try and fill the gap. So that is my process of thinking. First, my charts are now in alignment, okay? The next thing you find through consistency, through learning from being in TSA, if you're not in TSA, make sure you guys tap in, right? Is character traits, personality traits of stocks that you're trading. So one thing about IWM is when the market opens, it likes to do fake outs, right? It'll move to the upside, then it'll move back to the downside, and then it'll move back to the upside, then it'll move back. Like, it likes to do that, right? So what is that called though? In terms of the strat, it's called a 3-bar. So what you can see is if we let the next candle open, right? So this is at 7:30. So let's just skip ahead a little bit. So look here, the market opens and it creates a 3-bar. So let's go back real quick. The market opens and it creates a 3-bar. So let's turn off the strat assistant so you can understand this candle right here. Okay. This is a 3. And the reason it's a 3 is because this candle right here, these wicks broke above and below the last candle. That is why it's a 3. Right? It's a volatility candle. The market on a bullish candlestick, right? This is a rule of thumb. On every candlestick you look at, whether it's green or red or whatever color you got yours, a green candlestick opens at the bottom of the body. So this is candlestick anatomy. For those of you guys who don't understand what a candlestick is, right? This is a candlestick, right? This is the body, right? And these are the wicks. Okay? So this candle, because it's a bullish candlestick, meaning that the buyers are in control, this candle opened right here and it closed right here. Okay? So within 30 minutes, this is where the candle opened. It went as low as here, and then it went as high as here, but it ended up closing here. Do we all understand that? Comment yes down below if we all understand that part. Okay? On a bearish candlestick, on a red candlestick, it's the opposite, right? So the open, so like this red candle right here, it opened at the top and then it closes at the bottom. That is how it's just opposite, right? That's what you need to understand about candlesticks, right? Where they open, where they close, what's the high, what's the low. Okay? In terms of the strat though, we know that the strat does 3 things, right? Or candlesticks do 3 things. They break out either to the upside or downside, or they consolidate. Same thing as market structure. The market either makes higher highs and higher lows. It makes equal highs and equal lows, which is consolidation, right? Or it makes lower highs and lower lows, which is a downtrend. Okay? What tool did you pick to get these lines? This is just a horizontal line, or a horizontal ray. This one right here. Okay? Are we clicking so far? Everything making sense? I promise. It's going to all come together. There's going to be a reason and why this is a trade that you would like to take, right? Even though it's a Monday, right? It's still a setup that I would take 10 times out of 10. I would take this trade 10 times out of 10. Even if it doesn't work, I would still take it. And I'm going to show you why. Okay? So let's turn the strat indicator back on. Bada boom, bada bang. All right? So we know that about candlesticks. Now, why is this purple? It's just a way to understand this is a 3, right? You have the number 3. You can change the colors of these candlesticks. You can do whatever you want, right? So this candle broke this candle's high and low. So notice how the high is up here. It broke this high. Notice how the low is down here. It broke this low. It broke both sides. But the way this candle reads, the way you read this candle is the candle opens. It breaks lower. Buyers step back in and push it back higher. So buyers are in control. In this candlestick, it's showing you buyers are in control. Now, again, if you're not trading the strat and if you don't understand candlesticks or price action, you're not going to know that. You're just going to be fucking throwing shit at the dart. You know, like you're going to be throwing stuff in the dart, hoping it sticks, right? Basically. So now what I know about threes and this is a rule of thumb, if you don't know about the strat, it's fine. Threes like to continue in the direction it's going in, right? So this is a 3 up. The reason I know this is because it's a green candlestick. You can see by the wick, and you can see on the outline of it, right? Threes like to continue in the direction, right? So this right here, this is a 3-2. This is a 3 down, right? It's red around it. This is green around it. So one is buyers has control, one is sellers has control after it faked out the opposite side, okay? But my entry still comes from a higher time frame. Remember, we drew this out on a 4-hour time frame. You marked the high and the low, and now you're waiting for it to break, right? You know that previous quarter highs, if we can get past previous quarter highs as well, and you get a close above that, you're breaking back through what was once resistance, right? It's now becoming your support, right? If you close above it. So look what happens. You take the calls right here, and the reason this is a higher probability trade, right, is because you see that the bulls are in control. There's a gap to the downside and a gap to the upside. So either way, it has a gap to fill, right? And then where would you have your targets? You can literally target these wicks over here, right? Now, ideally, you would mark this on the 4-hour, but just for, you know, time purposes, I'm gonna show it like this. And then look what happens. You take the trade, you take the calls, and you sit in it, and look what happens. Come straight to your target. And then the gap fill is an extreme target, meaning like this is like where you let your runners see if the runners can get to it, right? And look what happens. And now even after hours, it's still pushing up to 220. Making sense? Do we understand? So all of my setups come from higher time frames. It's either coming from the 6-hour, the 4-hour, the 2-hour, or if I don't see anything on those 3, I'm taking trades off the 1-hour throughout the day. How do I sit in my trades longer? I watch off of higher time frames. I'll watch the chart off the 1-hour so I don't get faked out by a 5-minute candlestick or by a 15-minute candlestick or by a 10-minute candlestick. I'll watch something on the 2-hour, right? So I don't get faked out by a 30-minute candlestick. Because price, if you take a setup or trade off of a higher time frame, it takes more time for the play to play out. So you got to be patient, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I personally trade. Now there's other people who trade differently, right? And to each is their own. But this is something that has been working for me personally. And yeah. Did everything click so far? Did that make sense? Why is this a high probability trade? 1, it was a 3-bar at open. 2, I found the setup on a higher time frame. 3, we broke above a key level, which is previous quarter highs. 4, you broke out into a gap fill, which is back here, and it filled the gap. That is why it was a high probability setup. I used to trade a 2 and a 5-minute, but man, it's always fakes. Yeah, I can't do that, bro. I personally, I can't. I mean, I won't say I can't do it. I just prefer not to. I prefer to stick to higher time frames. Would you buy AMD before or after earnings? I will wait until a pullback. If I'm buying it from my long-term account, I will wait until like later in this month. So for those of you guys who don't know, August 10 is historically the worst month for the stock market and just asset classes in general. So you usually get a pretty steep pullback in August. So those are your next buying opportunities. 15-minute is always clear as well. Yeah, I use a 15-minute too. Majority of the time I'm watching the 30-minute, taking setups off the 30 or the, like I said, my higher time frames always come from, my setups always come from a higher time frame. But if you're trading something like SPX or NDX or anything like that, using that 15-minute is going to help you a lot. So is September a good buying month? August is a good buying month. You want to buy the fear, right? Like that was one thing that I learned and got really good at is like identifying when the market is fearful. And what I mean by this is you can really tell based off articles, right? Or based off what Trump is saying. You know, if there's wars, or, you know, job claims come out and they're off, interest rates, you know, all this stuff that's going on, right? These headlines, and if you read the articles, which is why I tell people you got to read, right? You know, if you focus on identifying these trends that happen consistently, you know, you'll be able to spot buying opportunities. But I like to buy during red days. Like the days where my account is down the most, that's when I buy. Is UNH a good buying opportunity? Me personally, I would never touch UNH. I don't even like Medicare stocks in general. UNH doesn't have a sound foundation, which is why the stock has dropped $300 in the last month and a half. Is it like Forex trading? It's a little different. Due to my work schedule, I can only trade from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Is that enough movement to trade? Yeah. I mean, 1 to 4 usually get a move then, but like for me, my preference is trading from 9:30 to 12. Like those are my, like that's my, based off my win ratio and based off like my performance, I perform better from 9:30 to 12. Usually after that, the market does a lot of fake outs. The volume is lower. I'm a momentum trader, right? I trade where there's a lot of volume and a lot of momentum in a certain direction. So me trading in the morning just works best for me. But if you can't trade because of work, try swing trading. What do you think of Novo? Pre-only 13, they're in expanding obesity market. I haven't really looked into the foundation of the company, to be honest with you, so I don't want to give you any bad advice. Thank you for the lessons today, brother. Yo, no problem, man. Hope you enjoy, bro. Or should I try to switch to my 3:15 p.m. to midnight shift? It depends. If you can switch to it without completely changing everything in your life, you know what I mean? Go for it. It'll make things easier for you. Just realize you're going to be up on the day, so you might miss out on sleep. But I would say swing trade, bro. You know, you can enter trades. Like I have a one of our traders. His name is Nova. He sends signals in my group. He does swing trades and he only takes overnight trades. Like he'll take a trade. Like he'll send a trade out at 3:50 p.m. and tell the group to get into XYZ, and he'll take that trade. And I can show you his consistency. Like he hits. Like he goes crazy. But yeah, I would say swing trade, bro. You know, buy something and then wait 2, 3, 4 days for it to play out. In the Discord, yeah. In my Discord, you can find the link in my bio. How much time does this take to learn? I don't only take one trade a day. Is there a way I can fake trade from the past to do more trades? Yeah, you can paper trade with fake money. So you can trade with fake money. We teach you how to do that. And how long does it take to learn? I don't know the answer to that question, because I'll tell you this. You shouldn't rush into learning trading. This is something you want to do for the rest of your life. You got to really be dedicated. Like you got to dedicate like years into this shit, right? Like, and I get it. Most people don't want to hear that. But like, if your goal is to make quick and fast money, this isn't going to be the thing that's going to work for you. Just to be completely honest with you, right? Like just on some real shit, right? Like there's a ton of other hobby things that you can do to make a ton of money. But like this, not it, right? It takes time. It takes patience. And like the one thing about trading is that it's not mastering the charts, it's mastering yourself. There's so many different things. Like I've learned my trading experience. I've had to learn that a lot of how I view my trades or when I'm in a trade is affected by how I came up when I was a kid. Like certain beliefs that I have about money or myself and things like that, that affects my trading. So like there's always small little things that you have to change about yourself. There's so many things that I've learned about myself through trading. And I think that a lot of people aren't ready to acknowledge the fact that they do have problems. You know what I mean? And they don't blame themselves enough. I blame myself for everything. And some people might be like, well, that's a harsh way to live. But it's like, that's the only way I'll be great, by taking accountability. If you blame anything outside of you, you give the power to them. You give the power to the external thing. Why not blame me, give the power all back to myself and go fix the shit, you know? Heard you. Yes. Would you say Microsoft and Alphabet are some good long-term stocks? Yeah, they're great companies. Great companies for sure. Look, if you think about it from a standpoint of like, right? Let's be honest. If you're gonna buy and hold, you gotta buy and hold, right? Like at minimum, you should be holding things for 3 years minimum, right? If you're looking to see a sizable return, 3 years minimum. Advice for a uni student who is having a slow progress in trading. Time management is going to help you a ton. You know, find time throughout the week that you can study. Like the same way you study for school, you got to study the market the same way. The second thing I'll tell you is like, if you're already, If you're already like learning in school, it should be easy for you to learn from people. So like find like, a YouTube video or like somebody on YouTube. Find somebody like I have a free Discord. You can watch all those videos for free. Yeah, like find somebody you can learn from, bro. How long did it take you to become profitable? On some real shit, 3 years. But I blew through some. Don't make the same mistake I made, please, y'all. When you coming into this, don't think that, oh man, I thought I was about to turn 20K into 500,000 in 2 months. Nope, got smoked. Whole 20K gone. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's why I teach risk management. It's one of the most important things that you could possibly have when you're trading. Good risk management will take you very far. Trust me. And it'll help you not blow your account. Do I have to pay to join your Discord? Well, we have a free one and then we have a paid one. The paid one is where all the signals, the live classes with me, all that stuff. The free one is just signals and just like free videos and PDFs. So if you want the extreme and more advanced version, paid one's gonna be for you. If you're just looking for some free game and you're in this live and you're fuck it, I like the way he teach, I might as well learn something from him, then just go the free route. How much? The link is in my bio. Is stop loss risk management? Yes. Well, not necessarily, right? Risk management is basically based off your portfolio size. How much are you risking per trade, right? So if your account size is 5,000, but you're going into a trade with 1,000, that is a big fucking no-no. You know what I mean? It's too much size. Now I get it. There's other traders who are more risk adverse. This is where it also depends on the type of person that you are, in your relationship with money. Like me, because I make money from external things outside the market and I have things in life set up for myself, I can be a little bit more risk averse because I'm not scared, right? I'm not I don't need the money. So it's easier for me to let it go. And if I lose it, it is what it is, right? That's just how I think. But if you're not risk averse, you got to take a percentage of your account, right? So what I would say on any given trade, you should be trading 2 to 4% of your account on any given trade. That's how much you should be risking. So if your account is $5,000, you risk 2% of that. I think that's what, $75 or something like that. So yeah. And then you can have a stop loss if you want to. I size my trades for 0. So I basically go into the trade with an amount of money I'm okay with losing. But you got to be careful doing that as well. If you don't know what tickers to trade to be able to do that, you got to be careful with that. But yeah, good risk management is if I'm looking for a return, right? How much am I risking and how much am I going to make based off this trade? So a lot of the times you'll see people say I have a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, where if I'm risking $100, I want to try to make 200, right? And that's a pretty good, premise of a good risk management. And there's a lot of people you can have a 50% win rate, but still be profitable. Damn, crazy. What's swing trading versus day trading? So day trading is when you're taking a trade the same day. So you're getting in and getting out in that same day. A swing trade is when you're buying something, right? You're buying a trade and you're holding it for longer than a day. So it can be a week, it can be 3 days, it can be overnight, it can be a month, right? That's a swing trade. That's the difference between the two. So swinging, meaning you're holding it longer. A day trade is in and out same day. Make sense? Yo, if you guys learned something, make sure you guys hit the follow button. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe as well. If you guys are on Twitch or YouTube, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. If you guys learned anything at all, trust me, you do not want to miss these lives. I will be live streaming as well my trading. When I trade live, I'll be streaming them. Another thing too is this entire live was recorded, so you guys can go back and watch it on YouTube. If you want more in-depth information, you want just guides and PDFs and courses and things like that that are free, you don't have to put a card in, you don't have to do nothing. All you gotta do is just get it sent straight to your email. Go click the link in my bio. Excuse me, and you can get free access to the Discord. Can I trade living in the Middle East, US markets? I don't think you can. You would probably be better off trading Forex. Is the swing trading same as trading volatility instruments? Not necessarily. It's just duration of how long you're holding it. How long are you holding a trade? That's basically what it's based off of. All right, y'all. Well, I'm gonna get ready to close things out. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys hit the follow button. This live got 60 new followers. That's lit. 13,000 likes. That's lit. 1,200 viewers. That's lit. Shout out to everybody who donated. Shout out to all my gifters, all the badges. Shout out to all the diamonds. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to all the people who just subscribed on YouTube as well. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys learned anything at all, make sure you, like I said, you leave a follow. Join the free Discord, and I will see you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I'll be back tomorrow as well. So if you guys have more questions and things like that, you can find me in the Discord. But I'll be back live tomorrow as well. All right, y'all. Love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day.